Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to 2MK's Sandbag Casuals. I'm Kanzuki Dynasty, although Brilliant is here with me. And it's my turn to have basically no idea what I'm doing, and see what I can figure out. So I have turned on Ranked Match, which, since I'm at the very bottom and basically guaranteed to lose, is effectively Casuals. And hopefully I will get something there, but in the meantime, I get to figure out how to escape from an idiot. Is that something I can change? Not from here, I don't think. Well, hopefully the sound isn't too overwhelming, otherwise I can go and change that setting and return. So I have played a little bit of Nanase, but not online yet, and only against, like, one person who has about as much idea as I do of how to play the game. So I'll have plenty to learn, especially with, multiple opponents. Or, for instance, what on earth I just did. Oh right, I think I can do it. Here. Let's see. I recall instant air, well, projectile being somewhat easier in this game. Oh, there we go. So I apparently get a wall bounce off of that. It's this that lets me escape. So, for the moment, while I wait for someone to show up in my area, or not in my area, and that's good too, figuring out a little bit about the ranges and properties of some of my moves. Like that one can apparently... Here we go. Alright then. I do not remember a whole lot about this one. So,
One of the most important things you can get used to when you come into a game like UNIST is the fact that even though the combos are long and they often feel as if you should be able to do something about it, it's just a game with a lot of... The way they design it is to feel satisfying to both the player doing the combo and to some extent to the person getting hit by it. It's just that we're so used to games where that's not true that it's hard to feel out sometimes. In other words, a lot of the time, the first time you get hit by a combo, you're just supposed to watch. You're not supposed to try to mash out. There's not a lot of spaces where you will have a lot of opportunities to get out of it. You just get to quote-unquote visually appreciate your opponent's combo, which is honestly not something that a lot of other games have because they teach us, well, this combo is really quick, but if you do this thing and your opponent drops this thing, you have to try to get out immediately. Or they might go for a reset and try to mess you up more. UNIST doesn't have a lot of this so far. There's definitely some scary reset stuff, but the timings for those are very similar to invalid combos. Therefore, it's best not to let yourself get too flustered about the fact that you're getting hit by like a 12 hit. Just watch it and appreciate it, and then that's it. If you get too twitchy, what will normally happen is that you'll end up wanting to mash out of stuff, which means that as soon as you do get the chance to mash out of something, you'll be mashing, and then your opponent will hit you with their pressure, and then you will die more.
Yep. Sounds like problems I'm used to. Honestly, that might take a little bit of getting used to, just having the freedom to not stress as much about my opponent's combos. He's back. Let's do it again. At least I presume he's back, since there's no one else around. Now, last week, Rillian, I remember you doing something V-reversal-ish. What was that? Or rather, what was the timing for that?
The timing is really lenient. The actual input is while blocking, quarter circle back, and your D button, or your guard button. I don't know what
like
you have that set to,
but...
Note that, again, unless you have built up a certain amount of vorpal meter, this is a beginner tactic primarily because it breaks your vorpal gauge, and then you can't do it for a certain amount of time afterwards. So you should think of it more as a reversal than the sort of thing you're normally able to just do.
What is he doing exactly? Does he have a parry? Is that?
Technically, everyone in the game has that form of guard, just hold the same.
Oh, is that his D block? Okay, that makes sense. But then why is he using it then?
No idea.
Alright. Well, maybe we'll find out. But if he's using
Maybe they're used to
standing
maybe they're
guard,
used to Nanase trying to get in on you?
I suppose. That would be something my characters might tend to do. So I need to figure out which one uses low so I can knock him out of that. I have to be properly into the run animation to pull off those fancy moves. Hello again.
Well, at least it seems as if this opponent is close by, as it's actually fluctuating down occasionally to 2 to 4 frames a side.
So we can interrupt that. Not terribly surprised. And there is me going in. So what do I actually want to do against this guy? I kind of want to stay back and not get into his pressure.
Well, I can tell you this character doesn't have a whole lot of great, easy, targetable attacks toward the airspace that you are offering.
So I should
He's
just
got some
stay
stuff.
in the air.
But that stuff is more so you failing to keep him from getting in closer.
Okay. I will see what I can get off with my aerial stuff, and not being quite as close, since that seems to line up nicely with what I've been trying. Or well,
Same
interesting.
thing actually happens with the character you've chosen to place in training mode, so you do have a good start from there.
Alright then. My main concern, I suppose, would be how to escape when he does have me in that sort of mess. Alright, I'm forgetting that assault exists. Not that that's going to help me escape. Ooh, new person. Okay. Hide, huh? I don't know much about him other than that Nanase has a vendetta against him.
Well, this is Amara's character, so you can just assume everything based on that.
Alright then. That's troublesome. It is indeed Amara's character. Oh, I can't assault after I use fly, cannot I? Alright then. Noted. Well, I can use my, I actually have a lot of ways to just stay in the air. But not forever. But it doesn't need to be forever, I suppose. Match your zoning, but in the air. Now it's time to use that. I keep trying to use my command dash style attack to poke him, but from a little too far out, which I probably shouldn't actually be doing, come to think of it, and focus on aerial stuff a bit more. However, I wonder if I use instant air fireball to just try and hold the space, will I be able to do a little more? Okay, matches and cancelled, whatnot.
Personally, to me, this character seems so much like your usual that I would probably just end up playing them, seeing what happens when I play them exactly like a different one. For example, player exactly like Kareen, player exactly like Ino, see what happens. Those sorts of things.
Sounds good to me. The execution for Note is a little different, but it's not too terribly different as a concept.
This is actually a good way for most people to start off with new characters in games without thinking too much about the possibilities or trying to understand what the character is quote-unquote supposed to be for. Just literally play them as if they're exactly the character you're already used to, but in a different game. This is often going to lead to a lot of randomness, a lot of frustration in certain ways, but it will also often teach you things you might not have found otherwise.
And on with the combos. Oops.
Another good way to get started with understanding combos in this game is think about how much damage you're used to seeing in combos in other games and watch until that much damage is done. When you see that much damage approximately being done, then you can start thinking about how do I get out of this.
I see. So now I've taken effectively a CI. But it took him like 4 combos to get there. Okay. Okay. So,
One other thing that I feel may help you, so I'm just going to advise it outright, is the idea that if you lose certain combos and they're blocked, on Nanase specifically, just going straight into your assault may help, because the opponent then has to deal with the idea of you moving around them. But because she should be able to do things from the air relatively easily after assault, they don't really know for sure where you're going to be.
I see.
Making it a little easier to try to outmaneuver them rather than stay in a defensive stance while you are closer than you'd like to be anyway. You might as well finish out the attacking part, basically.
Okay. I think my air C just like dropped me to the ground. Like, Gazel Gohan's buttons in Dragon Ball and such. I need to test that.
Note that this game does have down normals, especially downs air C. So
Yes.
you might need to do something to do that.
Nanase has... Let me turn this guy off a little bit. I know Nanase has a different air up C, air down C, and air normal C. Wow, my muscle memory is really rigged for down C, apparently. Although this doesn't look different. I suppose. Well, anyway, none of it's dropping me instantly. It's just that actually, if I assault from the ground, I'm not going to be very high in the air in the first place.
It's also possible that she has a down-down fastball, but I don't think she does. I know Seth does. So you could check it.
A new sacrifice comes to you.
Doesn't appear to be. Alright. Well, this would operate on the assumption that... Wait, what?
A new sacrifice comes to you.
That was strange. I could have sworn that... I have no idea what's going on here now. If I try to press up BC, I get that weird... and hold it. Sometimes it does the flying bit, and sometimes it does that. Well, I'll take this match in the meantime.
面倒なのと出くわしたの。やる気なのね。
Oh, a little Lin.
ファーストクローズ、ディバイド。
You'll notice that your opponent already has that as their perspective. If you block a certain number of their things, they just assault right after, hoping that you will anti-air or get out of the way or whatever.
I see. trophy extremely guarded. No idea if that shows up on the stream. That's apparently just happened.
So yes, you can treat that as a relatively good beginner tactic because most of us are not used to games where that quick hop happens unless we're King of Fighters players. And even in King of Fighters, you have to have a certain amount of skill to actually use that as a cross-up with the reliability required to make your opponent fear it. In this game, it seems a bit easier to cause it, but that move is also a little slower and therefore easier to anti-air. Overall, therefore, if you have managed to get out of footsie range, but don't look that way to your opponent, going for assault may be a good form of offense because a lot of people will want to try to keep you out with buttons, but most buttons don't hit most people's assault.
There would need to be the anti-air button specifically, and those tend to be short range generally. I don't have any vorpal either. This is troublesome.
As noted, this is not really an air dasher style game, so it tends to be more like Street Fighter style games where you will get overwhelmed pretty quickly if you don't anti-air certain things. Not everything, but being aware of your opponent's intention in terms of jumping is probably one of the most important ways to start off. For most characters, their best anti-air is their BC. For some people, it is 2B.
BC, huh? That's my flight for Nanase. I have down forward C though.
No, 3C. That's what.
Oh, 3C. Okay. I heard BC. My bad. Alright then. Now back to figuring out what the heck this was.
A new sacrifice comes to you.
Why not? Guess it doesn't happen anymore.
First close, divide.
Ooh, that crosses off. Or rather, it auto-corrects. Although if you can jump in at me like that, I can do... Not back up. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Alright, and the throw at the end. Good stuff. No chance to DP my way out of that, or at least not with my awareness.
Getting used to new games is often about simply accepting that until you are more comfortable or your brain has managed to do the work to connect things you do in game A with things you do in game B, it can still be hard to do even things you consider basic defense in your primary game. This is simply because even if the buttons were exactly the same, because obviously you can change around our buttons until it is basically exactly the same, a lot of what we do in fighting games is based on simply having played for so long. This is true of most sports, so you do have to get used to the idea that as much as people talk about having good reactions, a lot of this isn't really reactions. Or at least not in the same sense that you think of, I have seen this thing, I have identified this thing fully, just off the concept of it, and therefore I have now been able to do it.
Even just the fact that the timings on my DP are different, or that I deal with leniency in other games, or all sorts of things, make it really different. Like block stun, for instance. So I can DP out of blocks all day in Street Fighter, but not necessarily here. Though to be fair, I don't always get reversal on those either. And she has such range. I need to start treating that like her Senha, probably. Getting cornered is hellish for me. Just in the sense of, I'm not going to survive once I do.
Because you don't block.
I spend most of my time in the corner trying to block. I just block improperly.
Which is why you should just, like, try cancel out when you get cornered.
Oh, that didn't work. Alright. All the way through.
This game is another one where waiting to see for sure that your move has ended will slow you down quite a lot. But because we have to get used to the idea of, oh, I have this move now, it's harder to do this for a lot of situations. So you can do one move, and you really should be able to anti-air right afterwards, but because we're not thinking about it and not looking at it, we just don't.
Yeah. I have to get used to how my moves end regardless, so that I can start ignoring it, I would guess. Alright, I bet these would have been useful on her. And I get to find out. Eh? I didn't mean to cancel. Oh. In Street Fighter and, like, other games that doesn't do that. That's unfortunate. I accepted, and then I just, like, mashed buttons because there were buttons to mash, and apparently don't do that in UNIST. How far away can I land this from? So if I actually input an air dash, am I just getting air assault?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a different range of it, though. Nope,
That's only
never
because
mind.
you already have forward momentum.
Mhm.
So if you jump straight up and do it, it's different than if you were running forward and did it. Or jumping forward and did it.
Ah, and that's why she has the down one. So I can do this and still hit, well, from here. Well, anyway. Let's turn him back on a little bit. This eliminates some of the bad habits, too, when you look at it. Because I would totally try to DP in neutral under pressure in a corner like this. But I don't have the timings for that or any such. And it's not necessarily a good idea, it's just something I would totally do. In, like, Street Fighter or basically any other game where I, like, understand how to pull it off. But technically I have no reason to believe necessarily that her DP is even invincible or fast. Although it seems not totally slow. A great many things rely on my execution.
I'm relatively confident that it would be invincible given that this game is well liked by people who were fond of Street Fighter 4 for all of the reasons that people like Street Fighter 4. Which implies that there's a lot of cancelling, strange stuff you can do, invincible moves. Probably.
Okay. One of my dashing moves was supposed to be an overhead, I think.
I definitely know that there's some overhead in there.
I think that's the one I want. So that's a sweep. That seems to be a mid. And also mid. So the medium is a sweep. And the light is just pure mid. And the heavy is apparently the overhead for crouchers. And I guess light is probably safe. It doesn't seem to break either guard. So anyway, noted. I'm sorry, London. Come back. Oh well. The game appears to be smart enough not to immediately rematch me with her, unfortunately. Figure out which again. Oh right, I can do that. Alright. It's a little weird that the light is the straight one. Well, I guess not. Alright, so here we go. My height is back. Or rather, a height is back. I don't remember if it's the same height. Oh, like I said, how that startup is slow.
The indication is that the light version of your uppercut is in fact not invincible or has no invincibility. And
Has
that's
what
about it.
invincibility?
It has either little or no invincibility.
Okay, how about the medium?
Still checking. Medium is invulnerable from frames 1 to 9. In fact, there's basically no reason to use the A version at all.
Okay. I wonder why they made it that way.
Well, these things don't always make sense.
Oh, noted. Does it have a shorter recovery or something? Doesn't seem to be particularly so.
There's a difference in invulnerability that is possibly meaningful. That's all.
Okay. Huh. Alright then. The A version can be super cancelled.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Right. This character.
It's Mara's other character.
Indeed. Ah, the combos.
That combo is actually a fairly good example of what we were talking about before. You can get hit for a really long time, but it honestly doesn't hurt that much compared
Right.
to most things.
It's just about what I would expect from a standard combo in most games.
The hard part, therefore, being adjusting yourself mentally to believe, oh, well, this game is different, so me getting hit for a full 3 seconds is not necessarily a sign that I'm doing poorly.
Indeed.
Just my opponent getting to look through.
Well, Amara is terrifying. Alright then.
One adaptation you probably will need to make is to go back to your Street Fighter 4 habits and instincts about backdashing out of stuff, given that the backdashes are used.
I don't even remember Street Fighter 4, it's been so long. But backdash out of stuff? More, basically?
Well, basically, in our standard play of 5, we spend a lot more time measuring the spacing, deciding whether or not the opponent is likely to go for the low, thinking about the low as something that might be negative if it's quite long, and therefore, do I block or do I walk out of this? In Street Fighter 4, as you may remember, the general answer was if you think you're going to go for a low backdash. Because the reason we normally stood near enough to the opponent was to get them to whiff a button that we could whiff punish, or do something similar. But the idea of, I want to get out of your offense, didn't involve all the thinking and complexity that Street Fighter V causes you to think about. You basically went, okay, I'm not planning to attack you, therefore I'm going to backdash.
Okay.
So this game is mostly that level of thinking. If you don't feel like attacking and you feel too close together, backdash because you don't presume your opponent is going to do a chase move. Or block because you figure they will do a chase move and then you'll get the punishment afterwards.
Alright then. Fair enough.
For example, one could tell just by watching your current flow that your concept of how to do this is backwalk, because you backwalk out of a lot. But it's really not necessary. This is actually one of the things I suggest training in this game fairly early if you want to try to get good at it, and you're coming from another game where movement isn't about constantly backdashing. Not that you should necessarily backdash a lot in the game as you get better, but just the overall initial concept of I don't want to be under pressure. Most characters have a much better chance of performing well if you decide to deal with that situation by just backdashing out.
Alright, well... it is a thing I occasionally do on current, so I can just sort of turn that mode on. Although it seems to come with walk skip respacing and holding said backdash position. That's probably not the worst thing in the world to start with.
It is, however, one of the easiest things to train against CPU without having to understand too much else about the game at all. CPU will usually get in on you through a certain amount of pressure or similar, and getting yourself to go, oh, the end of pressure means I should backdash, requires no understanding of the game as a whole, and no complex inputs.
Indeed. And then it starts to become Kata 31-ish. At least in certain situations. So, golden poverty, huh? Byakuya. I have no idea what this character does at all.
He's a spider.
Oh, that one then. Alright. I suppose I probably don't want to be touching those webs that he hangs out. Or is it only that they have to make... it's like a move. Is it an install? That's my question. There we go.
It's an install.
Okay. Okay then. Spiders. Well then.
The other reason why the walk back doesn't work as well is because, in general, people have better lows in this game. And when you aren't familiar with what is a low and what isn't, walking back is much less effective. The reason they're allowed to have better lows is the same reason people are allowed to have better lows in Guilty Gear. Proration. once the combo is started with a low, you're not going to take too much damage, but positionally, it's fairly dangerous or important if your opponent knows that they can get you to the corner and put on extra pressure. They're not really trying to hurt you with the initial combo, they're just trying to make sure it hits, so they don't care about the fact that they started with a low.
I see. For some reason, whenever I'm under pressure or like trying to, whenever I open with like jump back, I try to do the gust in the wrong direction. Oh good, my Lin is back.
Another thing I feel you are likely to find important with this character is that your dash or running C is an overhead and long and combos.
Oh, I didn't realize it comboed too. I tend to forget about those. Just because it's not something I have in any other game. Even though I think Guilty Gear has minor versions of it. Not used to that walk speed. Alright then. Can I have both of those out at once? Okay.
Another important thing that you can learn from this game is, similar to the Guilty Gear tension bar, sometimes you want to use your, let's call it reversal, to get out of pressure before you hit the corner, because being pushed back lessens the bar that you would use for it anyway. So, from certain positions, you might as well just use it immediately.
I see. Well, alright then.
Therefore, it's better to have a higher awareness of that part of the game than we do for most other games. In most other games, we think of that sort of reversal style meter as something to use when the situation's gone really bad. This is a very momentum-based game, and therefore, thinking about those sorts of options as mid-screen or early options can be really important.
I see. Can I, like, break out of combos with it at all, or is it just during block?
Just block.
Okay. Throw range in this game. Oops.
The other reason this is so important is that having your vorpal meter broken, your GRD meter broken, means that you can't rebuild it even if you are managing to get some space back to get control of the match. So you want to try to take back control as early as possible if you have some confidence in your offense. In fact, good offense usually pays off in that same meter, meaning that it's harder for your opponent to get started again if they just manage to hit your block. They have to land a hit, in which case they get to beat you up, take away some of that meter, depending on what they hit you with, of course. And you get more options.
No idea what to do in that situation. Not with that much life left. Alright then. What? Okay, Carmine, I don't know. But
Methods of thinking about this game can definitely help you with others though, since it raises your general awareness of when to do certain things.
Alright then.
It's also a good way to recognize when your defensive instincts are linear. Not necessarily weak, because sometimes linear is good, it depends on what game you're playing. But this game does not forgive linear defense.
What would linear defense be exactly? Just, like, effectively making sure you block correctly and such things?
Basically, assuming that you will be able to identify your opponent's move and block correctly. While this is true, this game has, if not unblockables, things that are very close to them in a lot of situations. And the reward for certain situations is basically to get a high-low mix-up that is so fast that it's nearly impossible for beginners to block.
Okay.
Fortunately, most characters don't have left-right mix-ups that are too fast for most people to block, but there's a lot of high-low stuff. Because again, lows are better, and we often tend to block standing in order to get differences in spacing, or because we just feel it's better to help us not have to deal with overheads, and so on. It's a similar problem that shows up in Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Alright then. Figure out if I can use this to escape things. It seems so, but only slowly. Goes back a lot farther than my back dab. Or, well, back jump. It's also higher, but it starts in about the same time. Why do I only have this on one side of the screen? Yeah, whenever I do this, on this side, if I hold the button down, if I do it right as I leave the ground and I hold the button down, I get a little burst thing. And on the other side of the screen, I don't. It's super confusing. I'm sure it's something I'm just getting lucky with the inputs, but I have no hints at all.
That has to do with the same reason why sometimes people are able to do a combo going one way and not the other, though. The lag between your hand also applies to which direction you're going.
I just want to understand what the heck it is, although that doesn't make sense.
Well, this game actually shows you the frame data, like literally how many frames it took you to press X or Y, so you could do it that way.
I suppose.
As for that, no, she's not talking about the veil off, rather the little brown burst animation you get from doing certain of Nanase's moves around her feet when you do them.
It's not an animation, I ended up doing a move in the air. It looked like my seat. That, right there, I just did it again. The real question becomes, why does it only happen if I hold the button on a jump towards the right of the screen, but not when I do it on a jump towards the left of the screen?
Well, it's probably not quite true. Most likely it has more to do with you hold the button going one way and don't hold the button going the other way, because human brains are weird.
Well, we'll find out shortly, since I will have training mode back. I noticed though that it doesn't happen when I... Oh, here, turn off. Alright, so vertical obviously doesn't do it, but forward. Aha! No.
A new sacrifice comes to you.
Well, force function is just what I'm pressing to get it, or what I'm holding to get it, so sometimes my timing is different. I'm experimenting with that as well, so...
That's just a matter of priorities of input.
Well, okay, that's fair. The reason I was wondering about it, though, is because, like, in the air, activate force function to continue flying, and then it would go into this input randomly on me, or what felt like randomly, certainly, so... Well, maybe I just have to be in the air clearly before I do that. Yep, alright, fine. That makes sense then. Just me being confused. If I use my force function to take off, it doesn't happen. If I'm in the air when I do it, it doesn't happen. But in between those, there's some pre-jump frames. And if I press it down during that, I'll get it. Oh dear. I cracked my backdash and got in trouble. Oh! I did not know these things. So my air fireballs can charge. My stand C can charge. And my air down C can charge. Experiment time! Not a very long charge either. Good stuff.
A new sacrifice comes to you.
Ah, this was the leggy one. Oh well. Well, that's good to know.
この風の流れ、やる気なのね。ファーストクローズ、ディバイド。
I really need the light version of that, because when I go into the air, he goes into the air. Well, that hurt. I'll try to pay a little attention before I accept matches. So is this just a training mode thing, or why am I gaining vorpal gauge while I'm standing here and he's not? I suppose it's just a training mode thing. Oops. Ooh, I like this stage. This is super pretty. Attack. Get murdered. Huzzah! Problem is, I don't know what to push after blocking to get out. And with vorpal working as momentum rather than reversally, I'm a little screwed. Oop, not close enough. Good stuff. Nope, no throw. Alright. I'm not seeing her cross-ups, though. That's my real trouble here. Yeah, that bit. She does the same thing I can do, I don't see it. But now I have vorpal. That's not what I meant to use that on. Looks like my jumps forward jump normalcy also charges. Alright, so let's see. How do I approach you now? But I just like to not be close, but it might be worth trying to get vorpal early, probably. I remember the backdash bit. Her fireball is faster than mine. Wait, what? I thought I was mid-blocked. Apparently not. Well, the grand noob experience of never knowing when you're going to get thrown, just because you have so much else to think about still.
Backdash on wake up?
I was doing a lot of that, didn't help me very much against the rest of it. So it becomes a matter of, alright, I'm backdash and wake up, dang it, alright, I'm back, dang it, dang it. Alright, fine, I'll block this time, thrown. And all that. So, I'm gonna fight somebody else. Any suggestions?
Not really, especially given that the stream is probably only going on for another 10 minutes anyway.
Fair point. Hold down the button, let go. Okay, spider time. Oh. Or not. How do I say go?
There's probably confirmed changes around,
There we go.
as usual.
Man, they load everything so fast in this game. I suppose it is much less intense in terms of like 3D and stuff than other games, but... Oops. All my usual times when I can mash that don't affect anything. Affect things in this game. Oh, I'm just gonna not be on the ground this time. Goodbye. Okay. Here's the part where I get thrown. Or not. Didn't even need to.
This is a reasonably good game to train in if you find that you easily get offset or stressed out by being stuck in the opponent's offense because of what I mentioned before. The simple fact that they are able to keep their combo going for longer than you're used to gives you the feeling that you're doing something wrong, as mentioned, and this means you're much more likely to mash all wake up and hurt yourself.
Like that. Indeed. It's something that I have to notice I'm dealing with and like reset, sort of. It's not something that I necessarily have trouble holding when it's in my mind, but when it's not in my mind, it's just all gone completely. So I guess it's not necessarily stressful, but very easy to forget. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go.
面倒なのと出くわした私の力見せてあげるわ。ファーストクローズディバイド。大したこと通じない。
So they should be backdashing after their first pressure hit. Alright then. How was I building vorpal during that? I was bouncing in the air and somehow building tons of vorpal from it. Oh, and I broke too. Well, no wonder then. Oh, but I thought I had the bars for it. I guess I mashed too hard at the wrong time. Well, it's gonna teach me meter watching too. So let's see, whatever's next is probably going to be my last one for the evening then. For now, seeing if I can survive the spider in training mode. Hint, the answer is no.
If you like the idea of this game, and can get past that whole I have to take 20 hits before I do anything, you probably will enjoy it overall, because it is one of those few games where the difference between being able to add on the 5 ending hits of a combo and not isn't a huge amount of damage, meaning that depending on your fundamental skills, you may be able to do a decent amount of damage regardless of that. If you watch these Byaku combos carefully, for example, after hit number 5, you are adding some damage by being skilled enough to do more, but it's not really a lot of it, meaning that if you aren't actually good at it, you probably aren't losing out too much on it. Optimization is something that comes later, and it's the sort of thing that makes some players happy.
Personally,
But
I
you
sort of
shouldn't
like
expect
to not have to worry about that for at least a while.
Basically, yes.
So alright then.
あとはお願い。この風の流れ。やる気なのね。
Oh, well, and speak of the devil, you have the spiders in real life. Terrifying, terrifying spiders. Ooh, I can come into that. I suppose that makes sense. Really, the things I need to learn combo-wise are just combos into my positioning, save combos into my positioning moves, so I can do things like jab him and then not be in the corner anymore.
Well, either way, tomorrow we will be having Dragon Ball FighterZ Kame House as usual. And on Friday, almost certainly, some further Dragon Ball FighterZ content with one of the new applications of our Dragon Ball FighterZ bot. So no DOA this week. Next Monday we'll be back with more Street Fighter V Mishmashing Battle Lounge. And on Tuesday, as was yesterday, the Tuesday train for Guilty Gear. Bringing us back around to next Wednesday, we will be doing even more Under Night content with yet another member of the team going through this same process.
Indeed. So please stop by again, and otherwise, have a nice evening and enjoy your own fighting. Good night, everyone.